In a remote sanctuary in Costa Rica, a German shepherd named Bella became the unlikely adoptive mother of 3 orphaned lion cubs. Abandoned and vulnerable, the little lions were rescued, and by being in the right place at the right time, Bella welcomed them alongside her own newborn litter. Licking and protecting them with fierce maternal instinct, she defied the barriers of nature. But when the lions grew into imposing predators, what would happen to this unusual bond? This story reveals how affection can redefine the boundaries between species.
In the heart of the Monteverde Sanctuary in Costa Rica, staff were making their morning rounds when they spotted a heartbreaking scene. 3 tiny, fragile lion cubs abandoned in a damp clearing. Their eyes were still closed and their bodies shivered with cold, indicating they had been left behind by their biological mother, perhaps due to some threat in the nearby jungle. Without hesitation, the team carefully picked them up, wrapping them in soft blankets to transport them to the rescue center, where they could receive essential first aid. Meanwhile, at the same sanctuary, a German shepherd dog named Bella had just given birth to a litter of healthy puppies. Her maternal instinct was at its peak as she licked and nestled her own babies in a protected corner of the enclosure. Staff, seeing the orphaned lions, considered options for artificially feeding them, but noticed that Bella, being in the right place at the right time, reacted unexpectedly to the scent of the little intruders, approaching with curiosity and without hostility. Deciding to test the possibility, the team placed the lion cubs near Bella, monitoring them closely. To everyone's surprise, the dog accepted them immediately, licking their spotted fur and allowing them to snuggle beside her to nurse. This initial act of acceptance marked the beginning of an unlikely family, where species differences seemed irrelevant in the face of the bond that was forming there, defying the expectations of the wild.
In the days following the adoption, the Monteverde Sanctuary transformed into a stage of unlikely harmony. Bella, with her dark fur and vigilant bearing, devoted herself entirely to the 6 cubs now under her care, her 3 puppies and the 3 lion cubs. She kept them warm under her body, alternating between affectionate licks and gentle growls to discipline them, ensuring that all received milk and attention equally. The staff, fascinated, recorded the daily progress, noting how the lions, initially weaker, gained strength alongside their adopted siblings. The interaction between the species revealed touching scenes of innocent play. The lion cubs, with their soft paws and subtle spots, rolled in the grass alongside the puppies, playfully nibbling each other's ears without malice. Bella intervened when necessary, positioning herself as the ultimate guardian, and her presence calmed any agitation, fostering an atmosphere of peace. This dynamic surprised the team, who expected rejection but saw only mutual acceptance, proving that maternal instinct could unite the unlikely. As the weeks passed, the lions began to open their eyes and explored the enclosure with growing curiosity. Bella encouraged them, guiding them back to the den when they strayed too far, while the pups seemed to teach them simple chasing tricks. The keepers monitored everyone's health, providing nutritional supplements for the lions, but Bella's central role was undeniable. Her dedication, born from being in the right place at the right time, strengthened the group, preparing the ground for future challenges as time went on. As the months passed at the Monteverde Sanctuary, the lion cubs grew rapidly, developing sharp claws and teeth that began to stand out in their curious mouths. Bella, ever watchful, continued to supervise the now more intense play, where the lions simulated light hunts with their cub siblings. The staff noticed the emerging differences. The lions roared softly during the nights, a sound that echoed through the forest, while Bella responded with protective barks, maintaining the unity of the group despite the visible transformations. The sanctuary team implemented safety measures, partially separating the enclosure to allow the lions to explore wider areas, but always under Bella's watchful eye.
She called them back with a firm bark, and the cubs obeyed, demonstrating a loyalty forged in the early days. However, whispers of concern circulated among the caretakers, who debated the future. Could the lion's predatory instinct override familial affection? This tension grew, but Bella, by being in the right place at the right time, seemed to anchor the harmony. Over time, the lion cubs reached the size of young adolescents, their manes beginning to sprout on the males, and their strength becoming evident in leaps and runs. Bella, though smaller, maintained maternal authority, correcting behavior with gentle touches or firm glances. The puppies, now grown, played less frequently, but the bond remained, with all gathering at dusk to rest together. This transitional phase tested the limits of adoption, preparing the ground for unexpected revelations about the power of shared affection. As the years passed at the Monteverde Sanctuary, the lions adopted by Bella reached impressive proportions, with defined muscles and fangs that gleamed under the tropical sun. Increasingly cautious, the staff installed reinforced barriers in the enclosure to prevent accidents, as the lions now hunted small animals introduced for training, displaying their wild nature. Bella, despite her advancing age, remained at the center of the family. But the caretakers debated interventions, concerned about the risk of a predatory instinct overriding the affection cultivated from the beginning. On a rainy afternoon, an incident heightened the tension. One of the lions, now a robust male, approached Bella during a playful exchange that escalated into something more aggressive, with claws bared and a low roar. Staff watched from a distance, ready to intervene, fearing the worst. However, Bella maintained her composure, emitting an authoritative bark that made the lion back away and then lick her paw in a sign of submission, reaffirming the maternal bond that united them, forged by being in the right place at the right time. This event served as a reminder of the fragility of balance, prompting the team to monitor daily interactions more closely. Bella continued to sleep alongside the lions, sharing meals and quiet moments, while the puppies, now independent adults, occasionally joined the group. The story of this unusual family gained notoriety at the sanctuary, inspiring reflections on how early care could shape behaviors, paving the way for an outcome that would defy all predictions.
The lion's maturity at the Monteverde Sanctuary brought new challenges to the family dynamic. Now fully grown adults with thick manes and imposing bodies, they patrolled the enclosure with confident strides, occasionally testing boundaries with roars that echoed through the dense vegetation. Bella, with graying fur appearing on her muzzle, watched closely, but her maternal authority began to be questioned in more intense interactions, where the lions displayed instinctive dominance behaviors. The staff intensified their observations, preparing separation plans if necessary to protect the dog who had started it all by being in the right place at the right time. On a bright, sunny day, the tension culminated in a critical moment. The largest of the lions, with piercing eyes, approached Bella during a food distribution, positioning itself menacingly, fangs bared and a low growl. The team froze, intervention tools at hand, anticipating an inevitable confrontation between predator and protector. However, instead of attacking, the lion hesitated, sniffing the familiar air, and slowly lowered its head, rubbing its snout against Bella's in a gesture of recognition and affection, dissipating the accumulated fear. This transformative episode reinforced the resilience of the bond, showing caregivers that early affection could mitigate natural impulses. Bella, invigorated by the display of loyalty, continued to interact with the lions, sharing cool shade and moments of collective rest. The other two lions followed suit, maintaining harmony, while the story of this family spread among the staff as a living example of adaptation. Over time, the sanctuary adapted its routines, allowing the group to thrive, paving the way for a lasting and inspiring coexistence.
After the critical moment at the Monteverde sanctuary, the adoptive family's routine gained a new layer of trust. The lions, now recognizing Bella not as prey, but as the central figure in their upbringing, adjusted their behavior to include daily gestures of affection, such as rubbing their bodies against hers or sharing hunted prey as a sign of gratitude. Bella, in turn, responded with licks and protective postures, reinforcing the bond that had united them since the first days. The staff, relieved, reduced direct interventions, allowing the group to interact freely in expanded areas where harmony prevailed over innate differences thanks to Bella's timely presence in the right place at the right time. As time passed, the adult lions began to exhibit signs of independence, exploring wider territories within the sanctuary, but always returning at dusk to join Bella. She, aging gracefully, found comfort in their company, and the interactions evolved into moments of shared tranquility, such as collective naps under shady trees. The team recorded these behaviors, noting how the initial maternal instinct had shaped personalities, attenuating natural aggressions and promoting a peaceful coexistence that intrigued visitors and experts who heard the story. This period of stability allowed for reflection on the lasting impact of early adoption. Bella and the lions formed a cohesive unit where the original puppies, now dispersed in other areas, occasionally returned for affectionate reunions. The sanctuary adapted its practices, using the example of this family to educate about conservation and interspecies adaptation, preparing the ground for a legacy that transcended expectations, anchored in the luck of a fortuitous encounter that changed everything.
At the Monteverde sanctuary, the coexistence between Bella and the adult lions evolved into a routine of mutual respect and interdependence. The lions, with their imposing presence, patrolled the boundaries of the enclosure during the day, but reserved moments to approach Bella, offering protection against intruders such as birds or small mammals that ventured nearby. Bella, in turn, maintained her vigilance, barking to alert of dangers and guiding the lions back to safe areas when necessary. This partnership, forged by being in the right place at the right time, transformed the sanctuary into a living example of adaptation, where species collaborated instead of competing, inspiring the team to rethink rescue strategies for other orphaned animals. As Bella aged, the lions took on more protective roles, positioning themselves around her during storms or cold nights, using their bodies to block the wind and rain. Staff noticed how the lions, once seen as potential threats, now reciprocated the initial care, licking Bella's minor wounds or sharing shade during intense heat. This role reversal highlighted the depth of the bond, showing that affection was not limited to childhood, but extended into adulthood, strengthening group unity and reducing the need for constant human intervention in daily life. As news of this unusual family spread within conservation circles, the sanctuary received more support to expand its facilities, allowing Bella and the lions to enjoy larger, enriched spaces. The lions, adapted to human presence thanks to Bella's upbringing, calmly interacted with select visitors, promoting awareness of species preservation. This legacy phase solidified the story as a testament to resilience, paving the way for a closure that celebrated the victory of caring over natural barriers, anchored in the initial opportunity that brought them all together.
Years continued to pass at the Monteverde sanctuary, and Bella, now with a completely gray muzzle and slower steps, remained the beating heart of the family. The three lions, now in their prime as adults, sported majestic manes and bodies more than 3 times the size of the dog, but they continued to treat her with visible deference, When she lay down to rest, one of them would always position itself beside her, forming a living shield against the sun or wind. The staff, who once feared a tragedy, now filmed daily scenes of tenderness. The largest of the lions gently nudging a piece of meat towards Bella with his muzzle when she seemed too tired to eat alone. On a quiet morning, Bella awoke with difficulty, her hind legs trembling. The lions noticed immediately. Instead of retreating, as wild animals would with a weakened limb, the three formed a protective semicircle around her, lying down silently while she caught her breath. One of them rested his enormous head on Bella's front paws, a gesture reminiscent of the early days when she warmed him with her own body. The team moved, understood that the pack instinct learned in childhood prevailed over any predatory impulse, thanks to the timely welcome that had occurred years before, exactly in the right place and at the right time. This behavior repeated itself over several subsequent days. The lions reduced their own activity to match Bella's slower pace, remaining near the main den instead of exploring the confines of the enclosure. When authorized visitors approached, the lions raised their heads in alertness, but relaxed upon seeing that Bella remained calm. The dog, even with her vision blurred by age, could still recognize each of them by scent, and responded with weak licks, reinforcing the bond that never broke. The sanctuary prepared itself silently for the inevitable, but did so with the certainty that the love they had built had surpassed all expectations.
At the Monteverde Sanctuary, Bella's final days were marked by a profound serenity, surrounded by the 3 lions she had raised as her own. Weakened by age, she spent most of her time lying on the soft grass, with the lions taking turns staying by her side, offering warmth and silent companionship. One of them, the oldest, often rested his head on her back, a gesture that echoed their first nesting sessions, while the staff watched in admiration as the cycle of care reversed, proving that the bond forged years before, by being in the right place at the right time, endured beyond physical strength. When Bella finally departed on a calm night, the lions reacted with respectful quietness, remaining near the spot for days, as if watching over her memory. Touched by the scene, the sanctuary staff decided to keep the lions together in a dedicated space where they continued to display traces of mutual loyalty, interacting peacefully and remembering Bella's legacy. This gentle transition highlighted how initial affection had rewritten instinctive behaviors, transforming predators into guardians and inspiring new rescue approaches for orphaned wild animals. Today, the sanctuary preserves the story of Bella and her lions as a symbol of resilience and unlikely connection. The lions, now elderly, live in harmony, serving as an example to visitors of how affection can overcome natural barriers. The impact of this adoptive family echoes in the daily practices of the place, reinforcing that timely encounters can change destinies, leaving a lasting testament that love transcends the boundaries between species and redefines what is possible in nature. If you liked the story, leave a like, subscribe to the channel to help me bring more stories, activate the bell, and comment on what you thought and give tips and suggestions in the comments. Keep watching other videos.